Okay, you know what it is. It's your boy Kamal Hart, back on the charts, and we're going bar by bar. Cool. So I've made some changes, some adjustments to my trading system. I don't want to go too far in depth into those because I think it'd be more confusing than helpful for a lot of people. But when I see the opportunity to bring them up, I'll briefly mention this is what I'm talking about by adjusting my system. Starting with the pre-market though, I'm looking at congestion. I would have my lows down there, probably have my highs up here. You can debate if it's up here or not. Let me see, on this double tops, I think I like it a little better right here. Yeah, I'd probably keep mine about there. So, same as always, let's see if we can buy down here, sell up here. Let's see what we get. Here's a higher low. That's a doji signal bar. We didn't quite touch our support area. There is some room to the EMA though. If you take that, it's aggressive. I'd probably skip it. Inside bars. I'll probably skip that, but it's aggressive. You get threatened right there, and then you get a nice pop. You get your scalp on that pop. Our next trade is going to be the failed second entry short. And so you might consider this the failed second entry short, but I don't love it because all of these three bars are inside bars to this giant bull bar. So that really makes this trade a little muddy. Sometimes it's better just to skip that. If this bar wasn't super huge, you would really you would need to see a bar break below this bull bar and then come back above up here. So whenever the trade gets too muddy, it's better to skip it. And then as we start to get on this higher side of my range, I don't want to keep going long. So yeah, I'll probably pass on that one. And you can see, depending on how you enter this trade, it breaks below, comes above. You would have put in your limit order or your stop, and then you get stopped out only for it to come back. And then you hopefully didn't enter again, but then you get stopped out again, and then now you get a nice bull bar. This looks way better. This kind of looks like one move in my opinion, but still all of these bars are inside bars. So I'd be a little suspect of this entire area on the chart. We just opened, so I'd probably just chill. One thing I didn't mention at the very beginning is a new technique I've been doing is that when I set up my support and resistance for congestion zones, I like to add these horizontal lines. And all that does is it just helps me look left later in the day. So if we do come back to a support, I'm aware that this area used to be resistance. And if I get a setup, it might be worth taking. Or on the flip side, if I get a setup right into it, I might think twice about it. So as we move forward, as I said, this whole situation, this is all just an inside move. You might consider this the failure pattern, but I don't think I would. I just kind of see this as all one move. So right here is another what we would call technical failure pattern. The issue here is that there's probably not going to be enough room for 2 points until our resistance, although this resistance isn't perfect. I mean, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? So I wouldn't be so concerned about the resistance, but what I do get a little bit nervous about is that we are on this upper side of our range. Generally, we want to avoid going long on the upper side of this range. Typically, like if I'm gonna play something like this, I think this is aggressive. But if I was gonna play something like this, and let me make that green so it's a little easier just for everyone to understand that it's kind of aggressive. If I was going to play this, I would probably, instead of going for my 2 points, because my 2 points would be at 38, I'd probably just play it to the resistance line. So let's see if I can get out by the resistance line. That'd make me feel a little better. Sometimes going for all is just a bit too greedy, especially when you have it drawn a certain way on your chart. So we get the break above, you would have been entered into the trade, and then you get your scalp. Not a full scalp in my opinion, and for what I would normally go for. Let's see if we get more. Okay, yeah. So we do end up getting the entire position, but you don't know that beforehand. You know, it's easy to say after the fact, but in the moment when this touches it and turns down a little bit, you might be kicking yourself like, oh shit, I should have exited at my resistance line. So it's better to trade your lines and trade what you see. But if you play everything the way you're supposed to play it, you either have your stop down here and it never gets touched and you get your exit, or you get your scalp at resistance. So either way, you're profitable, but there's, you know, two ways you could probably look at that trade if you're going to be aggressive there. So now that we're up at these highs, I probably want to get short. Maybe I'll get a lower high, failed second entry. If we can get a move down, get a second entry short, you know, let's see what comes first. So right here, there's our lower high. We're going right into that EMA. That is concerning for sure. But given that we are in this sort of congestion zone, I'm okay shorting this. Generally, I like shorting these lower highs on ranges, you know, just for a scalp. Maybe too aggressive to try to get the entire move back to these lows, but see if you can get a point or two. I'm okay with that. You just got to realize that you're going short into this EMA, and we have been trading above it. I like this because the bar itself isn't that large. It's only 1.25 points, so the risk on this bar isn't terrible in my opinion. So I'd probably go short there as well. Nice initial bar, and then you can see you got your scalp. 36. Do you get your scalp? 36.50. I need 34.50. Yeah. Okay, so you would have got your scalp. Barely enough though. I mean, like a tick, but you get the scalp. Right here is the failed second entry short pattern. You know, I would go short again there, honestly. Under the EMA, pretty bearish signal bar. It's a decent trade. We get a double bottom and then we kind of pull back. This is never a good sign. At the moment, it's probably too late to do anything other than just leave your stop where it goes. I don't suggest exiting before it stops you out, unless you are covering your entry bar, but that's a little advanced. I don't know if we've brought that up yet. So we'll wait on stuff like that. We get a double top, a little push down. Let's see if this gives us a push. Nope, it doesn't. So you get stopped out, and that's good. You know, I the way I'm approaching trading is, you know, I don't own this system. I don't own these trades. My only job is to recognize when I see a setup that makes sense and try my best to execute proper trade management when I do see these setups. So I rarely get trades that fail, but I kind of like showing trades that fail because I don't want to set an expectation in anyone's head that you're going to follow this system and have perfect trades always, because not every trade works, as you can see. And then honestly, the main thing you'll be battling in your careers is just straight up messing up the trades and misreading the trades. So both can happen and you can still survive and make money even if you take a loss or two. So that trade gets stopped out. No big deal. Let's see what our next setup will be. Here is a nice play. A little failed break higher. Nice bearish bar. It's a second entry short to these lows. A little trick that I don't often talk about, but it's definitely part of my system, is that whenever you have this reversal pattern trade, the failed second entry trade that fails, if you get a setup off a key entry point, usually it's off the EMA. Those are like, I call them re-entries. The market, for whatever reason, it traps traders and then it resets. And if it has a nice, strong signal bar in the direction of your initial trade, depending on my risk, of course, I generally just re-enter. So I'd probably just re-enter there. It's a second entry short. Let's see if we come back to these levels. So I'm cool re-entering there. Of course, the issue is that we're going short into that EMA. So that's the main thing, that if I skip this trade, it's because of that. But I like that we're at this resistance up here. I like the second entry short. I like the signal bar. I would just re-enter. Easy money. And the way this price action moved proves that, I don't know, for whatever reason, it didn't work here, and then all the shorts loaded up here. Maybe they felt it was safer to short it up here, and they all got on board, or some bulls got scared, one or the other. So, you take an L here, you probably make it back there, depending on your strategy. You make half of it back, or you make all of it back. It just depends on how you trade. So we're having a hard time getting past this midline, though. We're approaching right back to our entry point. And now we're breaking above our resistance zone. So now that we're above this resistance zone, I want to see if we can get like a breakout pullback. I need a bar to go lower and then close above. And then we're going to draw a trend line. Maybe we're going to get a trend at the highs, break the highs. So right here, we get this bear bar, but that's a first entry to this lows. Yeah, we're kind of far from the EMA, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. This isn't a good short, in my opinion. That's the breakout pullback. A subtle thing is that we didn't close above this move below. I want to see a close above. So if this next bar can close above, we're going to draw our trend line. Boom, big close above. So let's go ahead and get a trend line. I want it to touch the bar that closes above. So like that. And then of course, like the market lately, not that we generally use this, but we are in a strange time in the market. I mean, look, we're at 41.44. I mean, all-time highs. This is crazy how bullish the market is. So keeping that in mind as well, you're probably going to have to go long at the highs in this kind of market, and you just have to kind of take the appropriate risk so you can handle that. So let's see if this trend line holds. Our next trade is going to be a sort of like a failed second entry short. Let's see if we can get a good setup. So like there's the break below. If we break above here, that's our long trade. Super aggressive right into these highs, and look how far from the EMA we are. So aggressive. Let's see if it breaks above. Okay, not yet. That's good. Now we're getting some space. I would love it not to break above, right? I would love to see it pull back, catch up with the EMA, and then break above, but that's a little bit of wishful thinking. At least if it breaks above here, it's off of our key entry point, which is this trend line. Of course, you never know if we one tick above the high, reverse. If we match the high, reverse. I mean, no one knows. So you can't fear that too much. The small consolation prize is that this bar is pretty small. It's not even a point. So you're not risking much if you go long above that bar. There's your break above. Now, this is interesting. It depends on how this bar broke, because if this bar broke above, then went down, then came back, you probably get stopped out. And then I don't know if you want to re-enter in that situation. But if this bar broke lower and then came above, I'm cool entering on the break above. So really, I didn't see this real time. I was late to the screen this morning, but it really depends on how that bar the sequence of that bar, whether you get stopped out and have to re-enter, which that re-entry would be a little like, you know, I don't know if you should really be messing with that. But if it didn't, I'm cool with that. We're off this trend line, off the key entry point. This market is super, 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 super bullish. Just got to find reasons to get long. Good movement, good movement. Definitely got your scalp. You know, probably playing it bar by bar from here, if you have a runner or anything like that. Let's see what this trend line can do. I wouldn't say we have a convincing break outside, but we're starting to creep outside of this trend line. So let's see what we're going to do from here. Definitely we have a break outside by here though. And a little bit of stack up, we get another leg up. So you could almost say this is like 2 legs up. Nice push. I don't see anything here that I want to take. I mean, you can take any strong bull bar you can take, but that's not generally my style. Although I will say, when we have these really tight creeping trends up, it is frustrating how if you wait for the second entry off the EMA, those sometimes will fail. So I'm not necessarily waiting for a second entry long. I just want to get some space from these highs, and really I want to get a better line. If I can get a new trend line, maybe some support or something like that, then I'll play that. But using this trend line as my main idea, that idea it's pretty much exhausted already with 2 legs to a new high. And so right here, we're clearly going sideways. There's a clear congestion right here. Let's go ahead and get some new lines on the chart, and this will help us formulate our next idea. I'd be looking at something like this. Then, like I said earlier, this isn't as strong as a accumulation zone, but it's still worth marking. You never know. And that's why I make them so thin. I make them really light so like they don't distract me too much. There's your second entry long. You're playing the breakout congestion. I don't want to buy any of this. I would love for it to break below and maybe buy the higher low or something like that. Yeah, you get trapped. Honestly, the signal bar would have been that bar, so that's not a good setup by any means. There's that break below. Let's see what happens when we retest the breakout. Good. We retest that breakout and then we get the sellers push it back down a little bit. Let's see if we break lower. We don't break lower. So this might form our new base. Let's see if we can buy like a higher low. There's a higher low, an engulfing bar. Generally, I don't play the higher low engulfing bars. And then in this situation especially, you're going to have to go long again right into this resistance at the highs. Not the best setup. If you have that bullish conviction, you might say, you know what, I'm just going to take that. But why? You know, I don't know. It's not worth it to me. But what I will look for is, let's see if we can get some measured moves going. So we have maybe a leg 1. And then a possible leg 2. So maybe we're going to get another leg up to there if we do continue. And what I'll do is I'll play the breakout pullback above this zone. Also, you know, you could probably draw like a bigger trend channel. I've been shying away from the trend channels, to be honest. They don't help me necessarily get into trades because, you know, I think this is going to be too tight. That's okay. That's actually okay. That's not as bad as I thought it was. If you want to use that, let's use there. So this is okay. But like I was saying, generally these super big channels, you know, they don't really help me with getting into trades, but what they do help me with is my runners. Basically, I just want to exit when we touch the high side or when we do get to that high side, that's where I expect reversals, things like that. But, you know, unless we get some sort of major pullback, and in of itself, that pullback might change the market dynamics where going long would not be as smart because we'd have to pull back so far to get long. So we're going to play that out. Let's see how this plays out. Get that breakout. Cool. Let's see if we get a breakout pullback. That's going to be our failed second entry. Okay, see how we're getting to this line? What I love is see how we pushed through that line. We got no break below. The sellers couldn't do anything at this line. That's a really good sign. Sometimes that might indicate that it's a two-tiered channel. So I'd be looking, let's see if this ends up meaning anything. And these are all speculations, you know, like just because I draw the line doesn't mean it's going to mean anything. But by having it there, when we do get to these areas, I'll have a good context of what's going on. And if I still want to go long above this area, I have a target in mind of like, okay, maybe this is my next target. This is where price is heading to next. So you can see maybe we have a two-tier channel. We have a massive breakout from that little congestion zone. That higher low ends up working really well, but it's too congested for me. Let's see if we still can get that breakout pullback. Here's that break below. Let's see if we break above. So right there, I mean, you know, super aggressive, super aggressive. I generally will avoid these trades. If I'm going to take this trade, I'm going to size down. You know, but in this situation, look how small that bar is. That bar isn't a point. It's a point exactly. Yeah. So when the bars are this small, like if this was a 0.75 or 2 points, no, I'm gonna definitely size down. I'll probably skip it. But when this bar is a point, you might consider it. You might consider it. You know, who knows? Who knows? So I'd say this is aggressive. Look how far from the EMA we are. We're not really off the midline or anything. It's super aggressive. But if you want to look at our system, I mean, once we get a close above, I'm going to draw another trend line, and we might be going higher. Boom, just like that. So what I would do is off this sort of higher low area, because it kind of goes sideways, I'm just use these last couple bars, these last couple bodies. So whatever fits price action, nice. I'll probably draw that. So boom, right there. That's our new micro trend line, and let's see if this can hold prices. Gets a little spooky in here. I don't know if you would have gotten your scalp yet. 54.50, 56.50. So you probably need one more tick in order to get that scalp. One more tick higher. It's getting a little spooky in there. There's your extra tick. So you would have gotten out on that trade. Just got to ride out some of that pullback. You shouldn't be surprised by that, given how far we are. You know, none of this should have been a shock to you. And then at this point, we have a breakout side, move to a new high. So, you know, as quickly as we drew it, as quickly as it ended. So now, you know, we're going to need some sort of new structure to form our next idea. Already, though, I can see the congestion. If you like, almost all of these bars are inside bars to this bull bar. So I can already see there's some sort of congestion there. Let's see if a couple more bars give us any more clarity. See right there, I'd pretty much already be saying, okay, we're getting another, would this be accumulation? I'd say accumulation. So we're getting another accumulation. Are these straight? They look a little off, but you know, they're straight enough. So we're getting another accumulation zone. We're going to do the same rules as any other range. Let's see if we can buy off this EMA, have enough room to these highs. So I wouldn't be buying this as a first entry. It's a failed break lower, but in this environment going sideways, it's not smart. You want to wait for that failed breakout and try to get back long, or you want to see it kind of breakout pullback below this area. Nice push, would have worked, but you know, you don't know that before the fact. Here's that higher low. Not a great setup. It's really strong close on the trigger bar, and that trigger bar doesn't close too far from where you would have entered anyway. But you're fudging the rules a little bit entering there. This truly is your signal bar. I generally would skip this, unfortunately. That one ends up working pretty well. So it just depends on how you want to play. I mean, maybe you want to be aggressive and you just enter because the trigger bar closes so bullish and it's pretty close to where you would have entered anyway. But if I'm already 3-4 trades deep, I don't see why I need to force anything that doesn't fit the rules the way that it should. Another thing I need to look for, maybe there's another measured move. I don't know if this one is as obvious, but maybe off these lows, this move is leg one. And the reason why I'm thinking that is because when we got to this measured move, we didn't even get any sellers. So, no one is selling right there. So that makes me think, okay, people are seeing an even bigger target. And so maybe that's leg one, and then we have a leg two here. So let's see if we can keep going up to there. See what happens. That's a second entry short, but we're not playing that. Not in this sort of environment. We're not looking for any shorts right now. We're just trying to get long. And honestly, we should have a trend line right through there, right? We had our breakout pullback. This bar closes above, so that starts our new trend. You're not shorting that. Here's that break lower. If you break above, that's another long entry. Another crazy aggressive trade, but it's off our key entry point. I don't like how far we are from the EMA though. Let's see if we break above. See, you break above right there. Because it occurred in the trend and on our key entry point, I'm going to mark it. Super aggressive. This one I probably wouldn't take, honestly. I would consider this one. I'm okay with this one. And that's just a personal psychology thing. Maybe I shouldn't be feeling like that, right? Like I said earlier, I don't own these trades, right? Don't make these trades so personal. Like, your job is to recognize the setup and trade the setup. Manage it correctly. So really, once you see your setup, take the trade. Take the trade. Have the appropriate amount of risk. If you hit your daily goal or whatever, you can quit or size back down, whatever you want to do. But it's not our job to judge, is this the one that's going to fail on me? Who cares? You're a trader. You see your setup, take your setup, follow your management rules. The rest will take care of itself. So let's see if this plays out for us. Just creepy watching it just creep up, but there it goes. Is that enough? 61.25 to 64.50. Yep, you get your 2 points. You're in and you're out. Now, we do have a breakout side, move to a new high. Is that convincing? I'm not sure. I think really I missed the higher low. I think this is a little flatter. It should be more like that. So in this case, this is our first breakout. Let's see what happens at the EMA if we can find some support. Looks like we get some support. A first entry to the high. Off the lows, we don't have a count. We're going to need to take some sort of second entry. Does that tick lower? Yeah, it does tick lower. That ticks lower, so, it's a first entry. There was nothing there. Here's a fail break lower. The second entry triggers right there, but that's your signal bar. Again, when you get this super strong bull bar and a super strong bull market, sometimes it's worth buying, especially if it's a second entry long, first entry, second entry, and you get this super strong bull close. In these situations, sometimes you just put your limit order a tick above that bar right there, or you put your limit order on the close or maybe a tick back. I don't think it's I mean, who cares if it's worth it? This trade in of itself is a little bit outside of the system, though. So we're not going to mark that. Works, but it's this one in particular isn't really in the system, so I'm okay. I'm okay watching that one go without me. We're approaching that next measured move, so that's a good sign. And but that's what I mean. We have this super big channel. How much has it helped us? Maybe it would have helped us here as a midline, but it hasn't helped us at all, right? The only thing it might do is if you're holding runners on any of these trades, you're just waiting to see if we're going to touch this high side. But other than that, it's these micro trends that are really giving you your trades. So here we get a break 2 legs back, move to a new high. We're going to need some sort of new line. We're going to plot some new lines in order to get our next idea. Clearly there's some congestion right there. Let's see if we can get a couple more bars just to confirm it, but I already see that as a congestion zone, so I could probably plot that as a micro range. That's good enough for the micro range for sure. So I'd be plotting something like this. I'm trying to get it straight. There we go. Okay, so I'd be plotting something like this. Same thing that we did over here. Let's see if we can buy the breakout pullback. Let's see if we can get a break below something. There's your first entry. Look how sideways. There's nothing there that you need to deal with. Nothing there. Get this this double top. It's all part of that first entry though. Here's that pullback. Look how tight that is. That's insane how tight that is. Now we get that break below, but it's a congestion zone. This break below is likely to fail and at least test the breakout area. And then right there we get those matching lows. Really nice bullish bar. Second entry long off this area. If I zoom it in, and this will be our last trade. It's 8:42 at this point. If I zoom in, you see this high right here, first entry, pullback, second entry. This is a challenging trade because this zone is so tight. It's a little nerve-wracking going long there, but I like how we're not getting a great EMA support, but we're so bullish. It's a good signal bar. We'll probably test these high sides. I'm okay buying that. To me, honestly, that trade right there isn't even that aggressive. It's just a little nerve-wracking because this congestion zone is so tight. But that's not so aggressive to me. In fact, part of what I've been looking at is the Wyckoff market structure theory, and that's a fundamental piece of Wyckoff, right? Is that prices range, you get some sort of impulse down that fails, and then that after that failure, because it hits all the stops here, it clears all the stops, it gets a few more sellers in, they get trapped, and then when this breaks above, it'll probably keep going. So I like that. A little hard to enter, but there's nothing wrong with that trade. And see, that's exactly what you would expect in a Wyckoff market structure theory. So pretty much, it was a solid day. It's sometimes a little tricky buying in this sort of environment, but if you just follow the rules, you at least found 2 trades that you could take, whether it was early in here or a little bit later over here. But not a bad day, honestly. Pretty good day, pretty easy day, especially if you're playing runners. It's just a great day for runners. So we're going to scroll through the rest of the day. Just let's see how this plays out. I'm curious to see if we end up touching this line. Let's see what happens if we get to that line. because we already made another measured move. So at this point, I'm running out of ways to keep making measured moves. Maybe at this point, you're looking at, you know, I don't even know. I don't know. I think that's all the measured moves I can find right now, and that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to force it. At this point, my next target to the upside is just, let's see if we touch this line. Okay, we get to that line with the quickness, and let's see, we fail back down. Get a couple pushes. Wow, this market is just insanely strong. But we do eventually get a nice reversal. Although we don't have a reversal pattern, but we do swing. Do we swing past that low? Not yet. Okay, now we swing past that low, and actually that reversal happens right there. So, yeah, not bad. Nothing really traps you except that trade right there. And depending if you have that line on your chart, maybe that keeps you out of that trade. But if not, you know, you definitely made it up in here somewhere. But yeah, that's pretty much what I see. Super, super bullish market. Great trading day. It's been a great trading month. But we'll be back again to do it next month. I'm trying to look for anything else. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's a wrap. It's your boy, Kamal Hart, signing out. I'm going to see y'all next time.